Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast Huddle. This episode, I'm trying out a new format. So I'm more of a long form girl. So I often listen to podcasts that are 1 to 2 hours in length. I personally just love the depth, the pace of the conversation, how I get to know the people. But I recognize it also depends on the topic. And I know a lot of people aren't like me. So I've sent podcasts to, friends of mine that I knew were amazing, not my own, but others' podcasts and videos. And I've noticed that if it's more than about 15 minutes, there's a subset of my friends that just are not going to listen, period. So if you are that person and you're someone who looks at YouTube videos and decides if you're going to watch it based on how long it is, this huddle and these huddle episodes are for you. So the concept of the huddle is that we're going to try to do, several tips on a topic in 15 minutes. So today's huddle is 5 tips for learning something new in 15 minutes. So I'm thinking of it as a 5 and 15. Now for this one, you all have to give me 20 minutes, maybe a little more, because 1, I had to explain the concept. And 2, this is my first time. So I'm also learning something new, even in doing this in this kind of shorter format. So today's huddle, though, is based on a recent experience I had obtaining a new coaching certification. So let's just jump in. My title for this episode could have been An Old Dog Can Learn New Tricks, because I know a lot of us say that, but I also know we often shy away from learning something new. And I heard myself say the other day, a few weeks ago, oh, I'm too old for that. And after I heard it come out of my mouth, I said, you know what, I'm not going to say that anymore. Because a lot of times when we think about learning new things, taking a class, going back to school, investing in a certification or training, it can really just feel like too much. I haven't been in school in, goodness, decades as a student, and it can just feel like you're not up for it. Well, today I'm here to give you a different perspective. A lot of times we tell ourselves things like, oh, I'm just not good at fill in the blank. Oh, I'm not good at financials. I'm not good at knowing people's names. But next time you hear yourself saying that, at least put yet or right now after it. I'm not good at financials yet. I'm not good at remembering people's names right now. Because if you want to learn it, I'm here to tell you, you can. So based on my coaching certification and just the engagements I have with my clients, here are 5 tips for learning something new in 15 minutes. Welcome to Anelra. Have you ever thought about unlocking the full potential of yourself or the leaders in your organization? Imagine the impact of executive coaching. Coaching is not a fad. It's a powerful process that drives leadership excellence, career advancement, and organizational engagement. Did you know? A survey of 100 executives revealed that the average return on investment for executive coaching is nearly 6 times the cost. It is the Fortune 500's best kept secret. At Anelra, we stand out for 3 compelling reasons. 1, client love. We love our clients and they love us. We boast one of the highest net promoter scores in the industry with an average satisfaction rating of 9.7 out of 10. 2, expert coaches. Our coaches bring both advanced coaching expertise and real-world experience, offering practical, actionable insights tailored to your needs. And 3, a diverse team. We match your unique needs with our diverse cadre of coaches, ensuring the perfect fit for your growth journey. Anelra provides coaching solutions that work, unlocking potential, driving results, and fostering engagement. Ready to transform your leadership impact? Visit us at www.anelratalent.com. That's ENELRA talent.com. Anelra, coaching solutions that work. So tip 1 is be intentional. So I often coach clients who are new in role, or maybe they're wanting to be promoted. And, they are doing the work, and I find myself doing this as well. We're doing the work, but we're really forgetting about the learning and how much if we just learned something new, learned new aspects of the business, learned a new skill, it could contribute to us being much more effective. And that's true in our personal lives as well, right? So, one way to think about it is if you were to get 10 or 20% better in something, in what area would it have a big impact on what you're doing? Where do you need to invest your time into learning something new? I mean, a quick personal example, I remember telling a friend of mine that how much I hated cooking. And she loves it, by the way. And she told me that one thing that helped her get there was she'd taken a knife skills class. And that just feeling more comfortable in the kitchen helped her enjoy it more. And so, I did the same thing at a local grocery store. And it did help me enjoy it more. I'm not saying I love it the way she does, but I do enjoy it more. And I certainly do it way more often. So the question for you is, where would getting 10, 20% better have a significant impact on your effectiveness, your enjoyment, or on your goals, what it is you're trying to achieve? Okay, tip number 2, you won't find time, you have to make time. So as adults, our lives can be quite busy, right? And one rule of productive people and of just productivity experts is that the most transformational thing you can do for your business, your personal life, your relationships, your work is never going to be urgent. Meaning it's never going to be someone calling you or be at the top of your list. Oh, I got to get this done today. It's not urgent to go back to school. It's not urgent to get a passport, to go to therapy, to be more effective at managing our emotions. Those things aren't urgent. But what new learning or new self-awareness is worth you making the time? Would getting a coach help? Would going to therapy help? Do you need to take a class on something? Do you need to understand how to feed and nourish your body better to get better health goals? Like, what is it where learning something new would help you? And whatever it is, you want to ensure what you're focused on learning is worth it, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to do it, you're going to have to make the time. As adults in this world, it's absolutely not going to appear. Tip number 3, a loss in confidence and even capability is a part of the learning process. So when I was taking some of the training classes for this new certification, I was really caught off guard a couple of times, right? I thought that I thought I was a great coach. I mean, I still think that, but I thought I was doing great in certain areas, even these new areas, new techniques I was trying to learn. And I remember my mentor coach said something like I was proficient in that area. And I remember thinking, proficient? I thought I was killing it. But what I had to recognize is I was learning a new aspect of coaching and I need to get better. I needed to learn how to integrate it into what I was doing naturally. And with that newness can come imposter syndrome. It can come feeling like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was. And that shows up when you're learning something new, when you're in a new role, when you're in any, just any new space. I think this also relates to, I don't know if anyone has had experience with, at least when my daughter was in school, they called it new math. So those of us who are a certain age probably learned how to multiply and divide a certain way. Then your child goes to school and they're getting the same numbers, but getting to it a totally different way. And it feels like, I thought I knew how to divide. I thought I knew how to multiply, but you don't know how to do it this way. But if you practice that magic 7, parents, holler if you hear me, if you remember that, if you practice this new math, you're actually going to get it and your confidence is going to follow. So when you're learning something new, you have to expect this dip in confidence, this dip in feeling capable, and keep going. Because if you keep going, when you keep going, you're going to learn how to integrate that new skill, that new learning. And at the end of that dip, you're actually going to be much more effective than you were before. Okay, tip number 4, familiarity is the enemy of learning. And my pastor said this he's doing a series on how to study the Bible. And he said this as a part of teaching that class. And when he said it, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I can't agree more. Because when you think you know something, you really discount the nuances because you think you already know it, right? So because of familiarity, sometimes it's actually harder to learn in spaces where you are already really familiar. And that was my experience with coaching initially. Going through the certification process initially, I really felt like it was more of a rubber stamp for what I was already doing because I thought I knew it, right? But what I learned is that the more I paid attention to how other people were doing things in the class, the more I paid attention to what the instructor was saying, how they were teaching nuances in the technique, I realized that I was like, oh no, there's a lot more to learn. There's always more to learn. There's always something new to learn, even in spaces where we are familiar. Because especially in today's day and age, knowledge and skill sets are not static. They do not stay the same. I mean, I was thinking about this. Even if you knew everything there was to know in, let's say, 2021 or 2022, with how people are using AI today, just to live their lives, to handle personal matters, and absolutely to handle the things of work and business, trust, there are more things to learn, even about the subjects you already knew. So, familiarity is the enemy of learning. So, when you're trying to learn something new, try not to go into it assuming, letting this familiarity get in the way of you actually learning the new nuances of it, and what new things you can pull from it to make yourself even more effective. And my tip number 5 is that accomplishment feels so good. So, the last part of this new coaching certification that I took, it was over years, was a standardized test. And I hadn't taken a standardized test in, I can't even remember, a very long time. And I hadn't felt stressed before, but I also hadn't done it in so long that I was absolutely stressed. I had on my shirt that I'm actually wearing today. It's a shirt, I don't know if you all can see it. It's a shirt from my church from probably a decade ago, but it says faith plus works equals manifestation. And it has James 2:17 on it. So I had my shirt on because I had done the work. I felt like I was telling myself, have faith in God, it's going to be fine. And this was all for a test that really, there was no consequence for failing it, right? It was like, so I had all this stress about something. It wasn't even a consequence if I had failed it. I could have taken it again. Um, but one thing I'm learning about just working towards something new, a new goal, a new craft, and new hobby is that the accomplishment feels great, right? My husband was on one of the episodes last season talking about hobbies. And he said one of the things he really likes about investing in hobbies is that there is a feeling that goes along with mastery and mastering something. And I thought, I get it. I totally get it. Um, and I'm learning this in lots of ways. Like I'm also working towards running my first race this year. I don't think I've told anyone but my family that probably, but running my first race this year, probably a 5K by the end of the year. And I'm sure that will feel equally as good. And I knew I was stressed taking this test because when it was over, I didn't even know the person that was proctoring the test. I didn't know that she was going to give me my results. But when I came out, she said, "Oh, let me print your report." And I have it here. And she said, "Oh, you passed." And when she said I passed, I said, "Oh," which meant I was harboring a lot of stress. And I felt so good. So when it was over, I texted, of course, my friends and my family who had been told to be praying for me. And I celebrated. So that evening, I told my husband and my daughter, I was like, we're going to dinner. We're going to walk around the boardwalk. It just felt really good to celebrate. So what I'll tell you is that learning something new, accomplishing something new feels really good. It's worth it. And when you're done, I want you to celebrate and I want you to tell me about it. So to recap, the 5 and 15, let's learn something new. The first one is be intentional. If you were to get 10, 20% better in what area, would it have a significant impact on your effectiveness, your goals, or your happiness? Tip 2, you're going to have to make the time. You're not going to find it. Tip 3, a loss in confidence and even capability is a part of the process. It's normal. Most people experience it. Keep going. You're going to get there. Tip number 4 from my pastor, familiarity is the enemy of learning. There is always something new to learn, always ways to become more effective, both professionally and personally. And tip number 5, the accomplishment is worth the work. And make sure you celebrate your new learning and your new accomplishment. So that's it. Let me know what you all think of the short format, our huddles, the 5 and 15 huddles. And also please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Apple or Spotify, join my email group. The how to join is in the show notes, or if you're watching YouTube, the QR code at the end of the video. All of those things help us to continue the podcast. You can also catch me on Instagram at Arlene_pace_green. And definitely let me know what you all think of the short format. So again, thank you all so much for joining. I love you all so, so much. I am so proud of you. You are killing the game, and we are going to keep killing it while not killing ourselves in the process. I love you, and be well.
Now available. You deserve to love your job. How to find your purpose and enjoy your life. You may not have learned this growing up, but you deserve to love your job. You will spend more time at work than in any other activity in your life, and you deserve to love it. Research tells us that people who love their work are twice as likely to enjoy their life. This book will help you create a blueprint to help you fulfill your purpose, love your job, and live the life you were designed to live. Now available at Amazon.